Crispy, golden, and addictive. Today I'm going to show you how to make the best fried shrimp. Hi friends, welcome back to my sister Carrie's kitchen. My name is Christina. My sister Carrie and I are with eatingonadime.com, and we're on a mission to teach families how to make real food at home on a budget. And if you've been following us for a while, you guys know that Carrie doesn't like shrimp. She is very vocal about it and she just doesn't like it. So luckily I do. And I'm going to show you guys how to make really delicious, easy, amazing shrimp recipes at home. So before we get started, let me know below who are my shrimp lovers and who are not my shrimp lovers. I love you all. Don't worry. Shrimp, if you are a shrimp lover, it's super easy to cook at home and it's getting more affordable with the rising meat prices. It's really balancing out and it is a great affordable option. All right, I have linked this recipe in the description below. Make sure you check that out. First, let's talk shrimp, all things shrimp. For this recipe, you need 1 pound of shrimp. I am using deveined with tails on, and you want it raw. So when you go to the store, I get these in the freezer section. There's usually like a seafood area, and you can find them there. There's going to be pre-cooked and raw, so make sure you get the raw. It should be gray in color, and the pre-cooked is going to be soft pink. And you want to get deveined because you don't want to have to devein it yourself. It's doable, but it's just a pain in the butt. So make sure it's deveined and raw. Tails can be on or off. My tails are on today. So get out a bowl that's going to be big enough to hold all of your shrimp and some. First, we're going to make kind of like the wet batter. Like anytime I fry something, I usually have a wet batter and a dry batter. First, we're going to do the wet. So start with a 1/2 cup of milk. I'm using whole milk. Honestly, any type would work. 2% skim, whatever you have in your refrigerator. Then add in 2 large eggs. I love that Carrie has a sink right here. I do not have a sink right by my island, and I wish I did because it's pretty awesome. You can go like this. Ready? And then this ingredient is very important because it adds tons of flavor to the shrimp. You want a tablespoon of hot sauce. I am using like, what is this called? Frank's Red Hot. It's coming out real slow, so I'm just going to take the lid off and measure a tablespoon just to speed it up a bit. You're going to whisk that into the milk and the egg mixture. Let me put that back on. I could see myself knocking that over pretty soon. So just whisk this together to get it well combined. So you just want to break up the eggs and mix it in with that milk and that hot sauce until it's all combined. And then add the shrimp to the milk mixture and stir to coat it. And we're going to let this shrimp sit in this mixture while we make our batter or our dry ingredients for the frying process. It's going to really soak up all the flavor, especially from that hot sauce. It's going to give it a nice little subtle kick that's going to be amazing. Okay, I was just told while I was getting all this out that it's batter and breading. So I say it wet and dry. You say batter, breading. You guys know what I mean, right? Like that's the whole idea. So let's get our breading portion of the fried shrimp ready to go. So first start with 1 cup of all-purpose flour. We're going to put it in I like to use a shallow bowl just so it's easy later to bread the shrimp, but you can use any mixing bowl that you have. And then we're going to add in our seasonings. First up is Cajun seasoning. You can use Creole seasoning if you prefer. This is going to add a lot of flavor as well. 2 teaspoons of that. A teaspoon of garlic powder. A teaspoon of paprika. I'm linking these seasoning containers linked below in case you guys are curious. Carrie just got them on Amazon because we're in Carrie's kitchen and they are so cute. And I love that the opening is big enough to fit all the spoons in because I have like smaller ones, but a teaspoon doesn't fit in the opening. So it gets kind of frustrating at times. And then a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Gently stir to combine all these ingredients to make your breading. Now we're going to bread the shrimp. Now this is the hardest part of this whole recipe, and I promise it's not hard, so don't be intimidated. So you're going to start picking up the shrimp, letting that milk drip off back into the bowl, and then placing it in the flour and coating it all sides with the flour. And you want to make sure that you can't see the shrimp through the flour and then it's completely coated. Now you can do a couple at a time depending on the size of your bowl. Just really depends. And if you have the tails on like I do, you can kind of use the tails to shake off the excess milk. And it's a great quick way to get these battered up and ready to fry. So this shrimp recipe is a little bit different than like a panko battered shrimp. This is, we're kind of making our own breading, and it's a little bit lighter taste and flavor, but it's still really, really good. Okay, so I want to show you one up close. Just let that excess milk drip off into the bowl. Then throw it in the flour and generally coat it. Now, here's the thing with shrimp. Sometimes it has this opening. Make sure you get flour in there as well, just because you don't want to see any of the shrimp. You can shake off the excess, and that's going to make a nice, delicious, crispy shrimp. Okay, the last one is breaded. So I'm going to get these hands cleaned up, and we're going to take it to the stovetop to start frying. Now to fry the shrimp, you want to heat up either vegetable oil, canola oil, or peanut oil works as well. We're using vegetable oil today. You want it deep enough just to let the shrimp sit in. And you want to bring it to about 350 degrees, not any hotter, or it'll burn the outside batter of your shrimp. I'm using a meat thermometer to check the oil. We have it going for a little bit. We're almost at 300, almost at 350, so it's good. You want to monitor it closely because you could get the batter too brown without the shrimp getting cooked through. So that's why that's important. Now, if you have a deep fryer, you can preheat that and add oil to that as well. Once the oil is ready, go ahead and add the shrimp. You want to make sure that you don't crowd the pan too much because it's going to slow down the cooking process of the shrimp. I'm going to do about 5 or 6 at a time based on the size of my pan. You want to let them cook for about 3 to 4 minutes, flipping them halfway to make sure they get nice and fried. They've been cooking for about a few minutes. You can see how they're getting nice and golden brown. Go ahead and just flip them and make sure it gets evenly coated. Even though that they're all in oil, I like to just flip them because oil is going to have different hot spots, and it's just going to make sure that they all cook evenly. We're just going to let these cook for a few more minutes, and then that's it. They're ready. Once they're done, remove them from the oil and place them on a plate with a paper towel to soak up the excess oil that drips off. Ooh, look how beautiful they already look. Once you remove them, immediately sprinkle some salt on top, and that's going to keep them nice and crispy as they sit. So if you don't have a deep fryer, I like to check the oil temperature before putting in the next batch. This is a little bit low, so I went ahead and turned up the fire a little bit, turn up the heat or the fire just to get it to 350 before we start cooking more shrimp. When you add shrimp in there and cook it, it's going to bring down the overall temperature of the oil. So I just want to make sure it's at the right temp before we start batch number 2. The oil is back up to temp, so I'm just gonna add in the next batch of shrimp. Again, based on this size, I'm gonna do about 5 or 6, but you really just wanna adjust it based on the size of your pot. You just wanna make sure they're not overlapping or touching and that there's enough room for them to float around. It's been a few minutes, so we're just gonna flip them over to make sure that they get nice and brown. Second batch is looking perfect, friends. The next batch is done, so just go ahead and remove them. I just add them to the same plate to soak up that excess grease. And then we're going to immediately top this with more salt as well, just to keep that batter nice and crispy. And that's it, guys. They are ready to serve and enjoy. Now, you can serve it with a dipping sauce. It would be so delicious with like shrimp cocktail sauce. You could just do ketchup if you prefer that. I just like them as is. I'm not a big sauce girly, but let me know in the comments if you are. And if you are, what you would serve it with. I also think like maybe a horseradish sauce would be so good. And the best thing is that it goes with anything, whatever type of side you're craving. For me personally, I think I would do like some rice and a side salad, or maybe like a roasted vegetable. Now, if you're wanting something a little bit more on theme, you could just do like some French fries. You could fry up some French fries, some sweet potato fries. That would be also delicious to serve with this easy fried shrimp as well. Time for my favorite part of the taste testing. Now, if you fry your shrimp with the tails on like I did, you want to still make sure you don't eat the tails, okay? So I just use the tail as like a shrimp holder, and then you can eat it right from there. So good. It's just that little Cajun and the hot sauce that adds a kick. Oh, and it's just a little kick. So even if you're sensitive to spice, I want you to try it out and let me know what you think. All right, friends, that's it. Thank you guys so much for joining me today in my sister Carrie's kitchen. I cannot wait for you to try this new fried shrimp recipe and let me know what you think. As always, don't forget, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. We're getting into the holiday seasons, and I do not want you guys to miss any of our easy, delicious recipes to get you ready for the holidays. So make sure you check that out. All right, friends, I am out of here. I got a plate of shrimp to eat, but I will see you guys next time in my sister's kitchen. And until then, remember, eat at home by eating at a dime. Bye, friends.